COVID-19 is beginning to spread around the Trump White House, with Trump's personal valets, yes, that's two of them, and Pence's press secretary, Katie Miller, both testing positive. Now, Katie Miller, of course, is the wife of Stephen Miller, which makes this COVID-19 diagnosis the second worst thing to have ever happened to her. Ouch. All right. Now, several senior White House officials are now worried, and they tell the New York Times, that it's too late. It could be too late to stop the virus from sweeping through the ranks of people at the White House. Now, that, of course, has President Trump apparently rattled. So he's not happy about this. So now at the White House, they actually have some rigorous testing going on, which kind of makes sense in the middle of a pandemic that you would have a lot of testing measures. In fact, you have old employees getting tested at least once a week, and those who come in close contact with Trump getting tested every single day. So yes, they are doing their job in protecting the president, which is kind of ironic for a president that says testing, not really necessary. Dude, we don't need the widespread testing. We don't need that. Everything will be fine. It'll be gone like poof, like magic, but without a vaccine. It'll just be gone one day. It'll just disappear like magic. Guy's a moron. Totally idiot. Total idiot. Dumb, so dumb. All right, anyway. So now Miller testing positive on Friday morning. This is after, of course, afterwards, Donald Trump went out and said, I was very disappointed. She tested negative for so long, and then suddenly now she tested positive. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Because there's, you might not test positive for some time, right? Even while you are a carrier of COVID-19. So now, the thing about her is that she didn't wear a mask while working, according to the Times, and several staff members who were most likely in meetings with her before she tested positive are still coming into work. Trump be like, you coming into work, right? Don't worry about that whole coronavirus thing. It's fine. It's fine. Even though you were in meetings in an enclosed space. Dude, you know it's going around. Of course, it might only be a short time until the entire White House is infected. That includes the president. So now her husband, Trump advisor Stephen Miller, tested negative on Friday and is not expected to go into the White House anytime soon, according to people familiar with his plans. Stephen Miller's like, oh, my wife got it. And people in the White House got it. Guess where I'm not going to be? Around either of them. See you later. I'm gone. When Stephen Miller ducks out of the situation, you know it's bad. It's bad. All right, anyway. Now, Mike Pence, there's a little bit of confusion about what Mike Pence is going to do. Or,
Mike Pounds.
Right, Mike Pounds. What's he going to do? What's our friend Mike going to do? Well, there were conflicting stories of him choosing to self-isolate after Katie Miller had had been tested positive. However, that is not the case. He actually is back to work on Monday. So, great. So he's back on Monday. And now, that's okay, though, because Pence is covered in the blood of Jesus. Okay, look, I was kidding about that last part. But yes, he's going back into work. Pence don't care. And in fact, in a recent meeting with 5 food industry CEOs, Pence's staff, before Pence came out, these food industry CEOs were all wearing masks, right? He comes out there. His staffer comes out there and says, before Mike comes out on stage, I'm going to need you to remove your masks. Take them off. And they, of course, did. They took them off. And then that's when Mike came out without a mask. Mike Pence, or again,
Mike Pounds,
is not only ignoring CDC's guidelines, he's literally making sure that anybody around him is not isn't following those guidelines either. Coronavirus couldn't ask for a better friend and ally than this science-denying evangelical lunatic. And right along with him, of course, is Donald Trump. Now, Trump also hasn't been wearing a mask. He's been ignoring CDC guidelines. He's been, meeting with people. According to the Times, one senior administration official said the fact that a valet who served him food tested positive had, quote, rattled Trump, and he was annoyed to find out that Miller had tested positive. He was, quote unquote, rattled and annoyed. Now, of course, we know Donald Trump's a germaphobe, but at the same time, only being annoyed and rattled, I mean, come on. Now, over the weekend, several press aides who have been coming into White House were told to start working remotely, and officials were urged to stay home if they believed that they're getting sick. One of Trump's top economic advisors, Kevin Hassett, admitted on CBS's Face the Nation that it was, quote, scary to go to work, as opposed to any other time. Quote from the article, he wears a mask, but said he thinks I'd be a lot safer if I was sitting at home than I would be going to the West Wing. It's a small, crowded place. It's, a little bit risky, but you have to do it because you have to serve your country. Now, my question is, I'm really curious about about what's going to happen if Donald Trump actually gets sick. Like if he comes down with coronavirus or tests positive, that's going to be interesting. But I think it's pretty clear. The sickness is in the White House. It's in the White House. It's only a matter of time. And I don't mean the sickness is Donald Trump. I mean the actual coronavirus. But here's the thing. I think, given what I've learned about Donald Trump over the last few years of covering him and really seeing how he reacts to things, right? And what he says, I think he believes he's immune. I mean, given the fact that he's quote unquote annoyed at his staff for getting sick, right? And not really taking any sort of protective measures. Because again, if you're a germaphobe, right, which Donald Trump admittedly is, you would be, you can imagine that he would be carrying around a 5-gallon drum of like hand sanitizer and like in the middle of a meeting just going anytime he gets near somebody, right? You would think, and then wearing a mask and probably like maybe a respirator, an entire freaking suit. That's what you would expect from a germaphobe. Trump, though, nope, not doing any of that. Doesn't really care, and it says, it's kind of annoying that my people around me are getting sick. That sucks. But here's the thing, right? So he probably thinks that he's too good to get sick, that he's too good of a person. He's too virtuous to get sick. Oh, and if that's not necessarily the case, his genes, I got great genes. I got the most tremendous, the best genes. Maybe that's it. And and Pence probably thinks that no, I'm too virtuous. I'm covered in the blood of Jesus. I mean, he is an evangelical moron. Not to say all evangelicals are morons, but Mike Pence just happens to be an evangelical and a moron. But if it hits Trump, by the way, if he actually does get sick, it's going to be karma. I'm not saying it. I hope it happens, but it could very well happen. And what's dangerous about what Trump is doing now is the fact that, again, he's not wearing a mask. Pence isn't wearing a mask. They're really downplaying the deadliness of this virus, to the, virality, and really sending a message to his followers and people around the country. This is not really all that serious. And you don't have to wear a mask. That is super dangerous. And you don't have to socially distance. In fact, we're going to, tell you to do otherwise, or we're going to signal you that it's fine to do otherwise. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so if he does get sick, I hope maybe it becomes a wake-up call. But as we've seen with the UK's Boris Johnson, yeah, it was for a short time, but then it's back to being who they really are. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.